What is up, everybody? Back with another list here today. And with this one, it's going to be my 10 favorite albums from 2009. A lot of cool stuff came out that year. And as usual, it's just my opinion here. Here we go. Starting off the list at number 10 is Chained to the Night by Cauldron. Really cool band. They formed in 2006 in Canada, and a couple of the guys were in another band called Goathorn previously. The singer, Jason Decay, he also does bass, and the drummer, who goes by the name Steel Rider, they both left that band and formed Cauldron. They were joined by Ian Chains on guitar. They have a lot of good stuff. This might be, my favorite album, my second favorite album by them, but kind of has a pretty dark feel, kind of doomy. Reminds me a little bit of 70s Sabbath, but also some traditional 80s metal stuff there as well. They're one of the bands that kind of helped get the new wave of traditional heavy metal started, I'd say. But a lot of good stuff here. Looking at these songs, I'd go with Young and Hungry, Dreams Die Young, and probably Chained Up in Chains are a couple of my favorites. But they do a really great cover of Chains Around Heaven, which is a great classic black and blue song. But a lot of good stuff here. Cool band, cool album, Chained to the Night. Number 10. Next up at number 9, I'm going to go with Karma by Winger. Now, I really like Winger. I enjoy most of their material, but if you're only familiar with the early stuff, this album here is definitely a lot heavier and darker than their first couple of albums from, the late 80s, early 90s. But I'd definitely say, Red Beach is just an absolute maestro on guitar. Him mixed with John Roth, just an amazing duo all over this album. Kip Winger has a really good voice. He's a great songwriter. A lot of these songs, flow really nicely. The choruses are really great. The vocal melodies, his voice still sounds really good at this point. This is over 20 years into their career. And of course, Kip goes a little bit further back, not really on the vocals, but he was the bass player for Alice Cooper before the Winger band started, which is pretty cool. But looking at these songs, definitely, if you're only going to listen to one, check out Pull Me Under. That is amazing, especially the guitar parts, just absolutely mind-blowing. But Stone Cold Killer's really great, pretty heavy, really nice chorus. Come a Little Closer, another one with a really great, catchy chorus. Supernova is pretty heavy and dark, but really great album. I highly recommend to check out. Karma, number 9. Next up at number 8 is 16.6, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead by Primal Fear. Really cool band from Germany. They've been around for over 20 years now, but they're pretty much one of the better modern metal bands. They formed in the mid to late 90s there after Ralph Scheepers, the vocalist, auditioned to be in Judas Priest. He didn't get it, so this band was formed, and I've always kind of compared them to Judas Priest. They sound very similar to them, but with a little bit more of a power metal edge, kind of like Gamma Ray and Helloween mixed with Judas Priest. And Ralph was the singer for Gamma Ray in the early to mid 90s there with Kai Hansen, who was in Helloween. But this album here, really great. The guitar playing all over it is awesome from Henny Walter and Magnus Carlsen. Of course, Matt Sinner is a mainstay in the band along with Ralph. Matt does the bass. He produced the album, and the drumming is amazing. Randy Black's an absolute machine. He was their drummer for a little over 10 years. He was in Annihilator for a while. He's currently in Destruction. But looking at these songs, Riding the Eagle, very awesome, very majestic, heavy. Ralph's voice is just very, very awesome on this song. Looking at the rest, Night After Night, Smith & Wesson, and The Exorcist, a couple other favorites, but most of it's killer. 16.6, number 8. Next up at number 7 is The Everlasting by Loudness. I love Loudness. They're in my top 15 bands of all time. And this album here is actually definitely in my top 10. And that's really saying something. Top 10 by them because they have 27 full-length studio albums, which is an insane amount. And most of them are really good. So this album here is very, very awesome. It's super heavy. Maybe their heaviest, most aggressive, angry sounding album of all time. I don't know if the band Was kind of feeling, obviously, they're going to be upset here because Munetaka Higuchi, their longtime drummer, passed away just before this album came out, but his drum tracks are still on here, so his drumming is here, but overall, this just has like a primal, aggressive feel to the album. Minoru Mihara still sounds great on the vocals, of course. Kira Takasaki's great on guitar as usual, and their longtime bassist Masayoshi Yamashita is there as usual. But looking at these songs, Hit the Rails to open it up is great. Flame of Rock might be in my top 10 songs by them of all time. Has an amazing riff. The guitar all over the song is great. The vocals are amazing from Minoru. But very catchy, great one there. And probably the title track, which is super heavy and awesome. But great stuff most of the way through there. The Everlasting, number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Teraphim by the band Azagal. Really love these guys. I did have them on my 2008 list as well. Great black metal from Finland. Very dark, aggressive, raw, primal feel to their stuff. Love the guitar tone from Narkoth, who, as I said before, is the mainstay member of the band. He's been on everything. He also does some bass and clean vocals as well. This was their last album to feature the singer Varjo Hera, who I really like his voice, fits the music very well. Just that really aggressive, raw black metal style. But looking at these songs, some of my favorites I would go with 11 Omega, Philosophy, probably Hanan Musta Likensa. That one isn't Finnish, so hard to pronounce, but very dark, creepy, a little bit more mid-paced on that song, but has a very dark feel and creepy atmosphere. And probably Pymidian Kutsu are my favorite songs, but most of this is really killer. Teraphim by Azagal, number 6.
666, the rising beast. Bears a mark of Babylon to be. Babylon to Berlin. Babylon to Berlin. 666 and 7 seals.
Coming in at number 5 is Babylon by Wasp. One of my favorite bands ever. They're in my top freaking 5. I love Blackie. He's freaking a master songwriter, in my opinion. Babylon's Burning, one of their best songs. Love the flow of it. The riff is great. The vocal melodies, as usual, from Blackie are very catchy and awesome. And the chorus, same thing could be said. But yeah, Babylon's Burning, definitely one of my favorites. And Doug Blair, his guitar playing all over this, along with Blackie, is killer. Looking at the rest of the songs, I'd probably go with Into the Fire, Seas of Fire, and Crazy. There's a couple other favorites. They do a pretty cool cover of Burn by Deep Purple, and they also do a cover of Promised Land by Chuck Berry, which is all right. But, most of the stuff on here I really dig. Babylon, Wasp, number 5. Next up at number 4 is All Shall Fall by Immortal. Great black metal here. Has kind of a thrashy feel to it at some points, but I've actually got a shirt for this. Got the guys on the front there, Abath, of course, in the back, Horg and Apollyon, and says All Shall Fall in the back. And even though Demonaz wasn't playing instruments for a while there in Immortal, he always wrote the lyrics. He did all the lyrics on this album here, which is pretty cool. But as I said, very thrashy feel to a couple of these songs, especially Hordes to War and Arctic Swarms, very fast, aggressive, heavy. The title track is amazing. Norden on Fire, some of my favorites, but most of this really killer again. Great album. All Shall Fall, Immortal, number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Angelus Exuro Pro Eternus by Dark Funeral. Just some of the most heavy, aggressive, evil black metal you'll hear. Just mind-blowing stuff. Especially the drumming from Dominator is absolutely insane all over the album. Some of the most impressive drumming you'll ever hear, in my opinion. Lord A, we'll just call him Lord A because I don't want to mispronounce his name. On guitar is great. Chakmol, Chaqmol. Is how his name's spelled. Probably mispronounced that too, but these guys are great on guitar. Love their tremolo picking style. Sounds very evil. Basically, if you're falling to hell, this is kind of what I would imagine be playing to that, but it's got that feel, very dark. The vocals are sick on it as well. Looking at these songs, The End of Human Race is amazing. The Birth of Vampire and the title track are my favorites, but it's all killer. Angelo Exarchus Pro Eternus, Dark Funeral, number 3. Next up at number 2 is Saldorian Spell by Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult. Some more very killer, aggressive, primal black metal here. Most of the band is from Germany, but the front woman, her name's Oni Lar. She's from Poland. She does vocals and guitar. She's an absolute badass, one of my favorite front women there are in all of metal. She just absolutely kills it. Love her stage presence. During their stage show, sometimes she'll come out in this white dress, has fake blood that comes out of her mouth and just stains the dress. She looks like a freaking demon or something, but very cool. Her singing style, it could take some getting used to for some people, but I think it fits the music very well. Her screams sound like a banshee, very evil and haunting. But looking at these songs, Beneath the Moon Scars Above is really great. Cataclysmic Brethren's another really killer song, and Glance at the Horizon. Got my voice cracking up here. But we're going to carry on, power through here. That's another great song, and top to bottom, this is an amazing album. It was very close to getting the number 1 spot. I was debating on it for a while. I'm sure anybody that's seen my channel for a while knows what number 1's going to be. But Saldorian Spell, very, very close runner-up at number 2. And a couple honorable mentions here before I get to number 1. Riot Squad by Paradox, really great, killer German thrash. High Speed GTO by White Wizard, I didn't count it because it's technically an EP. Maybe I could have because there's 7 songs, but technically it's an EP, and usually I only do full lengths on here, but that is amazing. Pretty much one of the albums that kickstarted the new wave of traditional heavy metal. Very killer stuff. Love James Paul Luna's vocals. Also, When Death Comes by Artillery, really great comeback album for them. Great Danish thrash. And also, Walpurgis Writes Hexen Wand by the band Belphegor, another really awesome album from them. They had a killer run there in the mid to late 2000s. This one was actually produced by Andy Klassen, great guitar player from the band Holy Moses back in the day. I really love his playing, and he does a great job producing there. But that's all I've got for honorable mentions. On to my number 1. Taking the number 1 spot for me is Endgame by Megadeth. Amazing album here, very heavy and aggressive. The guitar solos all over it from Dave Mustaine and Chris Broderick are insane, mind-blowing stuff. The drumming from Sean Drover, really great, nice and steady as usual. And James Lomenzo, really good bass player, I think. Glad he's back in the band currently. Looking at these songs, start to finish, this is just badass. But Dialectic Chaos to open it up, really great instrumental that flows into This Day We Fight, which it's one of their heaviest, really one of my top 20 songs by them of all time. Love it. The guitar solos from Chris are amazing. This is the first album with Chris, and he freaking kills it. 44 Minutes is a really great one. 1320, Bite the Hand. I could list all this stuff. The Right to Go Insane, How the Story Ends, Head Crusher. It's all amazing. Megadeth, my favorite band, and they do take the number 1 spot here for me. Best album of 2009, Endgame, in my opinion. So, that does wrap up the list. As usual, I'd like to know what y'all thought, and I want to know y'all's list in the comments. And until next time, thank y'all for watching.